Всем добрый день. Вначале хотел представиться. Меня зовут Усачёв Евгений Владимирович. Я проректор Академии по международным связям и также возглавляю, есть у нас такой корпоративный университет, который занимается переподготовкой преподавателей и повышением квалификации. Значит, сегодня тема нашего лектория достаточно интересная. Она касается применения цифровых технологий в обучении английскому языку. Ну, как меня проинформировали, большая часть — это лингвисты, поэтому у меня вопрос. Если это будет все на английском, это все нормально или нужно на русском? Нормально. Замечательно. Так, сейчас одну секунду. Okay, so today we'll be talking about using digital tools for learning English. It's quite an important issue, as you know, because not only in learning digital tools are being currently used, and many people speak about so-called digital revolution, which started a couple of years ago, a few years ago, and still is in progress. And today we'll be looking at how digital tools and digital devices help us to acquire foreign language. So there are a few issues we are going to cover today. Firstly, we'll look at the role of the digital tools in language learning and maybe partly teaching. It's the first issue to be covered today. The second issue, what tools exist to develop different skills, such as reading, writing, listening, speaking, grammar, vocabulary. These are the key issues. And what activities might be used to develop these skills or enhance these skills, right? In the first part, I'll give you a brief overview of some theoretical issues related to digital tools. I suppose you have heard about so-called Web 2.2 tools. Do you know? What's the difference between Web 1 and Web 2? No idea. Okay. So the main difference between the first, era of Internet, which is called Web 1, is that the content was produced by publishers or companies, and what users did, they only, read the context or just listen to this content, right? And they couldn't change it. It was just the first era, which is called Web 1 or Web 1.0. So it was about, 20 or 30 years ago. Then the new stage started, which was called Web 2.0. And the main difference between these two stages was it became more interactive. So the users could generate their content through different digital media or social networks or just producing their own blogs, sites, whatever. And the internet became more interactive. It was just two-way interaction, not only from publishers of the content, but from users as well. And this is called Web 2.0. On the screen you can see some tools which were used and are still used for different purposes. Actually, we have some, firstly, 8 key areas. So there are some tools, applications, or just online resources which may be used to search for information and select information. I suppose you're familiar with the main search engines such as Google or Yandex in Russian net. As well, there are some options to publish materials such as Scoop, IX Quick, and some others. So if you are interested, you'll get the presentation and get into detail into particular tool. Secondly, there are tools which help us do some sort of brainstorming. For instance, if we need to generate some ideas, we need to brainstorm some ideas. And in this regard, some mind maps became sort of popular. Has any of you ever used mind maps? Do you know what mind map is? Okay. A mind map is just a visualization tool which helps you to visualize ideas. So instead of having a list of items, you visualize it by means of different programs or software. And it helps our memory, and it helps memorize or just share some ideas. Again, we'll have a better look at some of the tools a bit later. And these are the most popular, Padlet and Poplet, which I used just to produce this sort of maps or brainstorming ideas. The third area we see on the screen is time or project management. You know, at times we need to manage our time or to manage a particular project. In this regard, we have, for instance, some nice tools such as Doodle, in which you can vote for the particular time which is convenient for a group to do a project or any other issues. Or Google Calendar is also an example of time management tool. Just below that we have communication tools which help us communicate via the internet. And you know, it all started with Skype and Google Plus, and now a lot of messengers such as WhatsApp, Viber, so Telegram, which is a bit in trouble in Russia, yeah, but still working. And some other tools which are used as well as Skype. There is a nice tool called Zoom. If you have never heard about Zoom, you can use it. It works like Skype, but to my mind it's more reliable. So what it does, it helps you communicate not only by listening or speaking, but they have a visual support. In this regard, you can communicate with whatever person you need globally. And both of them, Skype and Zoom, are widely used to learn or to teach English. As well, there are some tools which you have on the right part of the slide, and they help us manage or store information. And I believe you know such as Dropbox or Google Disk or Yandex Disk. They help us to store information and share if necessary. I believe some of you use it, don't you? Yeah, okay. So then collaborative editing. Sometimes we need to produce a sort of document not individually but as a group. And you have some examples of such tools on the screen as well. Again, Google Drive is used. And tools like Wikispaces is quite common. Moreover, sometimes we need to produce some sort of outputs and share. And below you have some learning output tools such as Prezi, which is a nice tool to share presentations or produce interactive presentations. If you have never tried it, I strongly recommend you trying Prezi, which is making presentation tool. YouTube, Tuxedo, which just produced sort of visualizing issues. And the last one you have at the bottom is sharing or web space tools. Mostly we have here some social media items such as Facebook, LinkedIn, which is a professional community, and some others. And these tools have existed for some time, and now some people say that the new era is coming, the new era is emerging. This is the era of Web3, which will be more interactive with more support from both users and publishers. Then there is another interesting concept which is called iPedagogy wheel, which actually comes from two words, iPad and pedagogy, which is used to use digital tools while teaching. And at the core you have some key functions, some key verbs which help us develop different skills. And at the core we have create, remember, apply, analyze, and evaluate. And then we have the corresponding number of activities which may be used, and then the tools. Of course, it's just the limited number of tools which you can see on the screen because they are emerging constantly. And we'll have a look at some of the tools which are currently used. Actually, this idea of so-called overwheel belongs to some Australian scientists who actively develop this iPedagogy concept. So we'll start with some tools used for reading skills development. By the way, before we start, I'd like to know, do you currently use any tools to develop your reading skills in English? Books. Traditional books, printed books. Any other? E-books. Yes. Anything else? Not yet. Okay. What are the main challenges we face when we are learning to read in a foreign language? What are the main challenges? What challenges you faced, for instance? Pronunciation. Yeah, it's one issue. Any other?
New words.
New words, new vocabulary, right. To understand what the book is about, you need to understand any single word. Or keywords, right. What about speed of reading? When you start, your speed of reading is comparatively low, right? As soon as you become more proficient in English, you start reading faster and faster, okay? By the way, do you know what's the average speed of reading? How many words a minute do we typically read? 100, 200, 1,000? Any ideas on that? Yeah, it depends. Mostly if you're an advanced reader, it is between 250 and 400 words a minute. Of course, if you don't read aloud, if you read to yourself, but it's quite a good pace of reading because at the elementary level it's not possible. Okay? In some exams you need to have or you not need to have, you have limited time to do with the task. Yeah, Cambridge exams, even YEGA exams which you took. So you had some limited number of time. As well, you know, when we read in different ways. It's one issue when you read the newspaper or, say, some posts in social media. And it's different when you read, say, a textbook or whatever. But still, let's have a look what we have here as digital tools which help you develop your speed of reading. So the first tool you have here on the screen is called QPrompter. When I will be speaking about each tool, you will have its website where you can find it. And mostly these tools are free of charge to use. Of course, if you want to have a premium account with some additional options, it's up to you. So let's have a look what we have here. It's QPrompter. So as the title says, prompter, it's something which helps us to read. Yeah? Because when you prompt somebody, you give them an idea. If I forget a line, if I'm, say, citing a sort of a poem and then suddenly I forgot the line. A prompter is a person who helps me. Typically in a theater, it's a person who is below the stage level. You can't see him and he just says something. Yeah? As well, these items are actively used when you're a TV presenter. Yes, when you present a TV program or whatever. Let's have a look at the interface. What we have here. In the central part, we have the area where you can paste any text. So you may copy any text, paste it in this area, and then you can develop the reading skill. Mostly, this tool is used to develop so-called gist skills. Reading for gist means you understand the main idea of the text. Not every single word, but the main idea. In many cases, it's enough. Let's have a look what we have here. What I've done, I just copied a very simple text about London as the capital of the UK. And you see, I pasted the text here. It's the first step when you deal with this tool. And you have some settings, depending. You can adjust, say, font size or whatever, or speed or whatever, and then you find your tool like this. Yeah? What you have here, you have the text in the central part. which is readable good enough. And one interesting tool you have here is just you may adjust the speed. For instance, if you are a beginner, the speed is quite low. And once you start using this tool, the text starts moving from bottom up, okay? And you start reading it. You know, many TV presenters read it in the studio because it's sort of a prompt, or politicians do it, yeah? Okay, you can develop the skill because you can change the speed. Yeah? When you understand that the speed is good enough for you and you want to increase it, no problem. You select not speed number 1, but 4, 5, or 9. It's pretty fast. Okay? So it's not just reading for the sake of reading. It helps you understand what you're reading about. That's the main idea. Okay? So you can try it yourself. It actually takes time, but it helps you to develop your reading skills. So this is the first result. The second resource is called Rewordify, which is rewordify.com. So what this tool does, it helps you simplify some difficult texts. Or rewordify, meaning that you have the same text using different vocabulary. So again, we have in this regard, we have the yellow area where you can paste the text like this. You have the original text at the bottom, you see it. And at the top, you see the simplified text. For instance, if you are dealing with a text which is pretty difficult for you, I don't know, financial English or legal English or whatever, using this tool, it may help you understand the main idea of the text, but the words will be simplified. Yeah? So instead of some complicated words, you will have some words, you have them actually in yellow as well, which give you main idea. For instance, in the original text, you see London is a major financial hub. So if you don't know the word hub, at the top text you see related to managing money hub. Financial means related to managing money. For instance, if you don't know the word hub, you click on it and you will have some other definitions. By the way, do you know what hub is? Hub may be used in different contexts. First of all, if you have a computer, hub is a place where you connect things. Yeah? But if we speak about traveling, hub or airport hub, it's just the airport which connects a few cities, a few countries. And planes or aircrafts go there and then land there, and you can travel from this airport used as a hub. For Moscow is a big hub, or London, or any other, Paris, and some other cities. So what this tool does, it simplifies the text which you can't understand. Yeah? And another interesting tool here that you can use some synonyms or words or definitions which you can use to explain some difficult items. So what else is there on this digital media? There is a collection of books which have been simplified for you. For instance, there may be classics, and you have an example on the screen, such as Mark Twain's classics or Conan Doyle and whatever. You can browse by the title, you can browse by the author, and find some texts which have been simplified. It's like graded reading. For instance, you are not advanced, you are pre-intermediate level. You select a particular item, particular story, and read it in a simplified version. So, again, it's up to you either to browse by the title or by a particular author. And you see, the collection is pretty big. No need to find the text and then simplify it. The next interesting resource is called Dream Reader, which is located at dreamreader.net. It's a collection of different reading resources. which are aimed at different levels of English proficiency. They're absolutely free, and you can read them to improve your reading skills. And you have some areas like easy English, or interesting English, or fun English, or practical English, whatever, or academic English if you are interested in developing your academic skills. Again, it's easy to browse and find the material which will be graded to your level. So again, you can use it to develop your reading skills depending on area of your interest. What else this particular resource does? It's not just reading. The resource has some activities to check your understanding of the written text. For instance, if you select a very simple text about fast food, you will have a quiz. You see it on the right. It's online, absolutely online, and it checks how well you understand the text you've read. And if you want sort of a listening activity, it's also embedded here. If you click on this tool, you can hear the recording of the text. Yeah? Again, you can develop reading and listening skills at the same time. Again, it's a very simple example of fast food text. The next area we're going to explore is tools for writing. Okay. Writing is important, not only in terms of exams, because at the exams you are supposed to produce some piece of writing, be it a report or personal letter or whatever, but also within your courses, which you do, you need to produce some piece of writing, I suppose. Yeah? In most cases, you do it in LMS system of the books you use. Do you do writing? Yes, you do, right. And the system automatically checks it, or the teacher checks your writing. Yeah, it's not just grammar or vocab exercises, it's just activities to develop your writing skills. So, and we have some additional tools which help you develop your skills for better writing. Let's have a look at them in detail. So the first tool is called Primary Pad. It's similar to Google Document, if you have ever used it. Mostly it is used to do something collaboratively. That means you have a group and you have a project which you're supposed to deal with. And what you can do using this tool, you can produce a document which is edited by many people. So on the screen you have an example of the text, but this text was produced by many people. You can, for instance, one person adds one sentence, as simple as that. Or it may be something different, depending on the project. What nice feature it has, for instance, a teacher may give you some advice on your writing. You see it in the chat option at the bottom of the page, or comment something. Or you can use it if there is a sort of person who is responsible for commenting or just moderating stuff. So once you produce this document, the person may say how good the document is. Again, it's easy to use instead of sending messages to one another and producing a single document, which is supposed to be produced by many people, 2 at least. You do it online, absolutely online, and it is saved online. And you have a link which you can share with other students, with your friends, whatever. Again, it helps developing this sort of collaborative writing skills. The next nice resource is, to my mind, is amazing. This is called telescopic text. It works like the title says, like a telescope. It's located at telescopictext.com, and it works the following way. You have some items highlighted in gray, such as I made tea. Every time you click on a word, your sentence expands. It's getting bigger and bigger, longer and longer. For instance, the initial sentence was, I made tea. Clicking on made and tea, you've got two sentences. I boiled the kettle, then I made myself tea. If you keep on clicking, you have a few sentences below. Yeah? You have it on the screen. I filled the kettle and switched it on. I got some biscuits, poured milk into a cup, and then I made myself tea. So it helps you develop your sort of creativity, imagination. Sometimes we are lack of ideas and we don't know what to write about or what to speak about. Using these tools gives you a nice idea how to extend short sentences in something longer. Okay? And what we can get at the end. So it's just the text. I'll read just the first two sentences. Yeah? Instead of I made tea, you have yawning and smearing my eyes with my fingers. I walked blurry-eyed into the kitchen and filled the kettle with fresh water from the tap, checking with my hands to make sure it was cold. So you see how different it is from the initial I made myself tea or I made tea. Again, you can use it just in case you lack ideas or imagination. Well, telescopic text. So the next area. The next tool is called Hemingway app. I believe everybody knows who Hemingway was. Yeah. Right. What this tool does is helps you develop your writing skills in terms of using right style. Because, you know, the text may be in formal, informal style, semi-formal style, depending who you're writing to. If you're writing to a friend, it's just an informal style. If you have a complaint and you complain about something, it's supposed to be pretty formal, right? So, on the screen you have some parts of the text marked with different colors. For instance, yellow color indicates that these sentences are difficult to read. For instance, they are too short or too long. Mostly they are too long. And you have an example. One of the 11 sentences is hard to read. In red you have another marker which says one of the 11 sentences is very hard to read. It's too long, for instance, for you to get the main idea. Yeah. And some other features. What interesting feature you have as well is so-called readability. And this is grade 6, which is good. It means how easy it is to read the text. So if it's easy to read, the reliability rating would be high. If it's not so easy to read, it would be low. Again, it helps to deal with the text which you have produced. And before sending it to a teacher for checking, for assessment, you can use this tool just to see how good it is. And we have some other examples. Again, the issue is fast food. And in yellow, again, one sentence, sorry. In yellow, one sentence is pretty long and not so easy to read. Another interesting tool, if you are aimed at developing your writing skills, is called plot generator. So sometimes you are given a task to produce a story. And at times your mind isn't working properly, but you badly need some ideas. In this regard, plot generator may help you to develop a plot, and it has some nice features, such as, first of all, you decide on the type of a story, be it a short story, detective story, love story, fiction story, horror story, whatever, or science fiction. After that, you may have some other examples. You have different types of texts. Again, you may select, be it fantasy or horror or mystery maybe. And then you have some features, some settings. First of all, the tool will ask you for the title. And if you want some fantastic title, you may select a title. I don't know, How to be a Millionaire, for instance. Yeah, good title. Or How to pass my English exam. Well, it depends. Then there is an opening option. In the opening option, you decide between the relationship between the main characters of the story. Are they relatives? Are they friends? Are they enemies? Whatever. Are they teacher and student? So it's just relationship. Then you may add some emotional part. It may be conflict, or it may be competition, whatever. And then you have sort of resolution. What will happen in the end? Will the end be happy or sad or tragic or whatever? Then you decide on the names for your characters. You may give them the names which you like, make them male or female, whatever, and some additional characters. So there is a long list of features, but once you've done it, the tool automatically produces the plot, what you're supposed to write about. Okay, gives you an idea. The next area, as well as developing our reading and writing skills, which are essential, we also badly need some key essential skills such as listening and speaking. And at times listening may be hard, may be challenging. We'll be looking at some tools which help you develop your listening skills and enhance them, right? And they are pretty entertaining, not just academic. The first tool I'm going to speak about is called lyrics training. As you see, as the title says, this tool is based on using songs' lyrics. So you have some options. You decide on a particular song, and then when you click on the chosen song, the site automatically generates some activities which help you develop your listening skills. And these activities are based on the lyrics of the song. So it may be multiple choice, matching, it's different types of activities which may be produced. Again, depending on what sort of skills you are supposed to develop. As well, at some levels, for instance, at the advanced level, it may be a dictation activity. You listen and type in what you hear. It depends if you're advanced or say upper intermediate. Moreover, it may be sort of competition activity, in sort of gamification option. For instance, there are a few teams which compete against each other, trying to deal with the song they are listening to. And the team which types more words within the song they hear will win. Again, it may be entertaining, not only academic. And you see the list of lyrics may be good enough. You can browse by language or by type of a song or whatever. The next tool is called Listen and Write. So it helps students develop their listening skills because you are supposed to listen to some story or piece of text and then type what you hear in special gaps. And the system automatically checks how good your skills are. So that you are typing in the proper words which you actually hear. And again, you can get some level. Yes, level 10, for instance, you're pretty good at it. So this is for kids. I'll skip it. In terms of speaking, speaking is, to my mind, one of the most difficult skills that we are supposed to develop when we learn a foreign language, because we can learn speaking only speaking, right? So until we produce some text in our mind, it doesn't work. And using digital tools for developing speaking skills may be a bit of a challenge. Let's have a look at the options which are available currently. So the first call is so-called dictation, which is located at dictation.io. Mostly it was produced for Apple users, but still now it has some other options. What the text does, it just prints out what you say. It's not the only, you know, there are a lot of options even in Google. There are different tools. So instead of typing, you just saying something and you have a text, automatically have a text, which you're supposed to provide somewhere or submit somewhere. But also it may be used to develop some pronunciation skills, for instance, because speaking is impossible without good pronunciation skills. So it may be used for both purposes, developing speaking skills and pronunciation skills as well. The next one is it's not completely new. It's been on the market, say, for 6-7 years. It's called Vocaroo.com. And what it does, you can, instead of providing some paper materials, for instance, if your teacher assigns you a task to make some sort of speaking, you can record your voice, you can record your story, and send it to the teacher for assessment. Yeah. Of course, now we have messengers which may be used for the same purposes. You may send a voice message in WhatsApp or Viber, whatever message, but it's quite convenient because it's functional and you can share some information in social media, and it's easy to record and to record. It's easy to record and then to communicate, to send somewhere. So it's still used. The next tool is called Clary Sketch. Compared with the previous tools, it helps you if you are preparing for, say, Cambridge exams. Of course, you gave exam in the past, but maybe Cambridge exams or IELTS exams you are planning to take. In these exams, you are supposed to compare and contrast two pictures. And in this regard, the tool has these pictures already downloaded. And what you need to do is just to select a particular picture and then speak on the picture. Either describe it or compare and contrast the pictures. And it's automatically recorded, and the examiner gets your speaking related to a particular picture, and he or she may make assessment on it. Moreover, you can, if you want, you can share your description or your short story with somebody, with your friends, say in Facebook, Google, or whatever. Telegram, maybe, right? So it combines visual support and speaking development skills. Another interesting resource which I strongly recommend you using is called Youglish. Sounds funny, but this resource focuses on the proper use of some particular items. It's based on so-called corpus. Corpus is a selection of words, sentences, and both written and sound, which is used to produce dictionaries. And if you are interested in a particular word, on the screen you have the word consciousness, right? What you do, you type in search gap, in search line, click, and you will have all the videos, mostly YouTube videos, which contain this word. And what is important, you will see how this word is used differently in a particular context. Yeah? Moreover, below this picture, you have the script, which helps you understand what they are talking about. And the word which you are interested in is highlighted in yellow. So for instance, if you want to develop your vocabulary and using some particular items, you can use this item, the word, and then you will have a selection of videos which you can watch and pay attention how these words are used in a context. Because the context may be different. It may be particularly interested if you are dealing with phrasal verbs. Because you know, phrasal verbs are very hard to grasp. Yeah? Because they are multifunctional and they have a lot of meanings. In this regard, watching the videos, paying attention to the, say, phrasal verbs, you can develop your vocabulary skills as well. Okay, a few tools in terms of grammar. Yeah? So grammar is traditionally explored and taught in all the universities, especially in Russia. Teachers pay much attention to grammar, and students like doing grammar activities. So let's have a look at some grammar tools which might be used to develop your grammar level. The first is called a Tube Quizard, which is based on YouTube videos. And it's located at tubequizard.com. So it's a marvelous tool which creates interactive grammar and vocabulary exercises based on the YouTube videos. So on the screen you see a few items to select. You may select level. It may be from A2 to C2 if you wish. You may select type of activities. It may be grammar activities or vocabulary activities. You may select on the category. It may be business English, or it may be information technology, news. You may select the area. And you may select the variety of English languages options. It may be American English, British English, Australian English, whatever. So, and you have some screenshots here. For instance, you have a nice cat here. Can you see him? Yes. Yeah. And you see it's grammar for listeners, and it's for level B1, B2. It's British English. You have 16 items of grammar to practice, and mostly it's about using past verb forms. Say past simple, past continuous, past perfect continuous. So what you need to do is to watch this wonderful advertisement, Christmas advertisement, and type phrases with verbs that refer to the past. One of the examples. So, or different activities for pronunciation or grammar tools here. Another resource is called Grammar Gamble. I suppose you know what gambling is? Okay. Mostly when you gamble, you may lose your money or may lose your mind, or both of them. So Grammar Gamble is an activity which is interactive, which helps you feel competitive because it has sort of competitive nature. And you decide on the proper option. You have 4 green options here. Maybe they are not so good or well visible. And you have the sentence just above it. Why, blah, 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 the soldier's so tired. And you have 4 options. Verb, be, did be, or did. And you decide what's the best option here. What is this? Verb, of course, yes. Not only you choose the particular item, but you can bet. You have some virtual currency, no matter what it is, rubles, euros, dollars, whatever. Maybe some others. And if you compete, if you play it online with some other players, you may win, and you may have the highest rating when you've done everything correctly. For instance, we have the example. For example, the person called Yellow Mango, so has 100 bucks as a score. For instance, we have some others. And again, we have a questions, and you can decide how much money you can bet. It may be $0 or it may be $18, which is the highest rate here. And every time you click, you have different questions or sentences based on the grammar knowledge. So grammar gamble, you can play it. So one more tool I'd like to speak about. Just a moment. It's not just about online tools. There is so-called online system. Just a moment. It's called Voxy. So this is a platform which helps develop all the skills we've been speaking about. Not only grammar, not only vocabulary, not only listening or reading or writing. So this system helps you develop all the skills which are necessary. And let's have a look how it works. So first of all, no matter what level you are, for instance, you are B1 or you're B2 or A1, what the system does first, it just checks what level you've got. So first what you do is you just do the test online. Yes, it's called Voxy Proficiency Assessment, VPA for short. And you have three options here, which sounds funny. For instance, you may choose the option, I have no knowledge of English, I'm complete beginner. Or I know some English, pretty nice phrase to my mind. Or my English is pretty good. Depending on your choice, you will have a test which will be more or less difficult. But the test is adaptive. And three main areas will be tested, such as grammar, listening and reading. And depending how successfully you answer the questions, you will get a more difficult question. So it's called adaptive. If you answer a difficult question, you will get a more difficult question as the next one. If you can't answer, you will have a more easier question as the next one. Totally, there are about between 45 and 60 questions, depending on the level, and it takes between 30 and 45 minutes. So these are examples of questions you might face, you might have. It may be multiple choices or gap filling activity, which you have here on the screen. And after that, you may even get a sort of certificate, such as high beginner. Well, that means that your level is more than complete beginner, yeah? Depending. But you understand what areas should be improved. Okay. Once you've taken the text, the next step would be to decide why you need English. And here you have 6 options, such as advance my career. That means you'll need English for your career opportunities improvement. Or I'd like to enjoy English media, such as books, films, music, whatever. Or I'd like to pass my English tests, which might be a popular option, right? Or travel abroad, or day-to-day talks, or social and lifestyle, such as shopping. For instance, you may select at least 3 options here. And then within these options, you need to decide on the interests. You will have 6 options again, what sort of materials you are interested in. It may be sports, celebrities and entertainment, it may be business, technology, health, or politics. Believe it or not, but some people do like politics, yes, and they're interested in politics. Especially when Mr. Trump became the president, yeah. Many people started getting interested in politics. Right, so after that, the system automatically generates the program which fits your interests. Yeah? Currently, there are more than 55,000 lessons available, but you will have 3 major ones which you have selected. It may be politics, travel, or shopping, for instance. So, here is the interface of the program. You have 3 activities in each unit, or lesson, mostly lesson. It may be a reading activity, it may be a writing activity, or it may be a grammar activity. The amazing thing about this tool is that all the materials are updated on a daily basis. They are taken from, say, authentic newspapers, magazines, whatever. And every time you click on this sound, on this symbol, you will have another unit, another lesson related to the same issue. They never repeat. For instance, if you want to do the lesson on tourism, you will have numerous items of units. Typically, within one unit, there are 20 lessons, which you do one by one. And you deal with all the skills development. You deal with grammar, vocabulary, listening, reading, writing. On the screen, you have an example of a sample lesson. It's reading activity. So you have the text. You have some words that are highlighted. Once you click on the word, you may get its translation, you may get its pronunciation, definition, and every time you click on the word, on the item, it gets into your word bank. That means you can get to this word bank and train particular vocabulary anytime you like. Okay? So, of course, there is a longer catalog. It's not just travel politics, because some courses relate to business or finance or whatever, and you have a good selection, or architecture if you wish. But currently you deal with 3 units. So in order to change the unit, you will have to select the new one. What else is amazing with this resource? As well as having this unit structure, they have some resources. As I said, they are updated on a daily basis, and they are split into different categories. It may be videos, it may be texts, or it may be articles, music, whatever. And they are graded by levels. For instance, if you want to watch or to listen or to read some materials which are already adapted, you can watch and have some activities just to develop your skills. Yes. They are not just text, but they are text with activities to develop the skills. One more amazing feature: once you have a subscription to this resource, you will have a limitless time to have classes with native speakers. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So on the screen you have an example how to book a place in so-called session, because every 30 minutes they are timetabled, and you may take part in this speaking lesson with a native speaker. Typically the groups are between 4 and 9 people, and they are international groups. So if you want to book a place, you click on this button, reserve a seat. That means at this particular time, say 24th of August, from 6 to 6:30, you will have a class which is dedicated to giving information. It's for beginners, for instance. If your level is higher, you may select the topic, and you may have a talk with these 4 people and the British or American teacher. They are all teachers, not just speakers, which is important. And you can book in advance. For instance, not only today, but a month in advance on the topics which are interesting for you. Again, before you participate in this kind of activity, you have some preparation exercises, right? Some preparatory exercises. which you can do. The good thing that the teachers are all natives, all native speakers. And you don't have to pay money for that only once you buy the subscription. I'll tell you about the price a bit later. The next area is progress. So when we learn a language, of course, we need to get a sort of feedback, how well we are doing. So in this regard, there are numerous tests which you may take within each unit or after, say, a few units, progress tests. And you will have access to all the information available. For instance, how much time you spent on the resource, how many activities you've done, so how good you've done, how well you've done them, and what the level of your proficiency currently is. Yeah. And on the screen you see the correlation table, how your level correlates with Cambridge English framework or European framework of languages and whatever. So you will see how good you are anytime. So what WOXI currently does, they do a lot of research, and they specialize in research how students, because it's absolutely online, you don't have face-to-face teachers, you do it online only. And at times it may be challenging because you have to motivate yourself. As well as motivation is the key issue if you do courses online. So, has any of you ever done any courses online? Not necessarily in English, maybe in Russian. Never. Never, okay. Because lots and lots of courses are available now, not only in English, in Russian. You can do whatever you want. For instance, photography or editing, video editing, public speaking, whatever, and they're absolutely free to do. The only, say, challenge you face is motivate yourself to do it. At the end of my presentation, I will tell you some information where you can find them. Yeah. So there may be different areas. Some of them are called MOOC, which is Massive Online Open Courses. You may have heard about Coursera, which is online resource full of courses which are absolutely free to do. But if you want to get a certificate, you're supposed to pay. If you don't want a certificate, you do the course and you get knowledge and skills, whatever. You may just Google it, it's called Coursera. So, and we see that one of the challenges I was talking about at the beginning, you see the first month when you start doing your online courses, you are pretty motivated. And say by the end of month 3, motivation goes down. For instance, you are motivated. The first month, it's not 91%, but 42%. Month 2 is just 30%, and so on. And the system is done that way that helps you keep motivated, which is pretty important. So, as I said earlier, there is a scale of your proficiency level, so how successful you are, and as statistics proves, 90% of users increased their level and they were kept motivated. In terms of passing tests grade, you see it's 80%, they successfully passed all the grades, or depending on their needs and levels. Okay, so this is WOXI. Getting back to our presentation. So a few takeaways, because we are coming to the end of the presentation. Yes, takeaways from this talk today. First of all, you have to keep in mind that using different digital tools, not only those I've covered today, but they enhance your learning and maybe teaching if you're planning to teach, maybe somehow in the future. And the students are kept engaged, yes, they are involved. The second important consideration, we need to constantly search for updated tools on the net because, as I said, they come and go, right? And there is a great choice of tools available to develop, in particular, English language skills, which is natural. On the screen you have a list of some useful links and resources you can Google. I'll give a brief comment on them. First of all, it's nickpeachyblogpost.co.uk. It has lots of resources related to using digital tools and learning. And Nick Peachy is an expert. He is a British person, a teacher and book writer and publisher, which updates his blog nearly on everyday basis. He has some other resources where you can find his articles and information about some tools to be used. First of all, so-called SCOOP, Tools for Learners or Learning Technology, Tiny Letter. There is a resource which is dedicated to using digital tools called thedigitalteacher.com, and the company called the Consultants E, which also runs courses using digital tools. You can Google them. So if you are interested in this Voxy system I told you about, the 12 months price is 20,000 rubles, but it's not only up to the 12th of April, but 12th of May is just 7,000 rubles. If you are interested, come to me after the class and I'll give you the contacts. It's available. 12 month subscription, 7,000 rubles instead of 20. Okay. You can sign up in our corporate university. You have the contacts here. And if you have some other questions related how to use digital tools or where to find them, you can find information about me in all social media or my contacts if you need some advice or whatever. So don't hesitate to ask me. Actually, that's all I wanted to say. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. No questions? No questions currently. Very interesting. Okay, would you like some more talks like that?
Yes.
Yes, in the future. Okay. Maybe especially aimed at interpreters and translators, yes? How to use tools for interpreting or translating. Yes. Because there are lots and lots of them on the net now. Okay. Actually, that's all. The last thing I'll do, I'll check the attendance. Okay.